Hey, what's up, guys? This is Ryan again here with another muscle building, fat loss, fitness, whatever you want to call it. Awesome interview with cool experts. And this is my buddy out in California. It's Geoff Neupert. Now, Geoff, I found you because you're mainly just I thought you were just the kettlebell guy, but turns out you do a lot of other cool stuff. And you kind of came up on the circuit a few years ago. You interviewed a lot of kettlebell experts and did a lot of cool stuff there. I listened to a lot of your calls, but did I hit the nail on the head? Did I cover all your angles? Give us a little background on what got you started and how you're doing what you are today.
Sure, I'm known as a kettlebell guy within my small circle of influence, but my background is actually wrestling, Olympic lifting, and college strength and conditioning. I spent probably 4 years, almost 4 years, as a Division I strength and conditioning coach before my wife and I moved. So she'd go to PT school, and then I set up my own personal training business. So my background, although it's in kettlebells currently, it's heavily influenced by Olympic lifting, in which I competed, and some powerlifting, and actually power bodybuilding or power building, which is what I did when I was in college after I quit wrestling. So,
well, I'm a big fan.
That's a quick and pretty background.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the power bodybuilding stuff. I like that. You got to be strong and look good. I mean, there's no reason to have both of them in your life at the same time. Like, you can't just be strong and not look good. I hate that. Talk to me a little bit about that. That was what you said back in college. That was like when you. I mean, I'm assuming that's kind of when you were getting started into the kind of getting heavy into the iron game, as they like to call it.
Yeah. Well, I really got into the iron game when I broke my arm. After I broke my arm wrestling my junior year of high school, which is a long time ago now. But so I've been doing this almost 25 years, and but that's what really got me bitten. And then I tried to wrestle in college, and it was just overwhelming. So I wrestled basically a semester, and then I really got turned on to the iron bug. And so I basically went from about 165 pounds at I guess it was 17, 18 years old. And my senior year of college at 21, I was 255, 252, 255.
Oh, wow. That's big.
Yeah, that's big. Surging testosterone, unlimited food, lots of sleep. You can pack on a lot really fast. So, yeah, I mean, I was pretty big. And then I decided I wasn't too comfortable being that big. And so I dropped down to about 240 and then 225. And I hung out about 220, 225 for a couple of years. And I've bounced all around between 200 and 225, 230 for the last, 15 years or so.
That's cool, man. That's awesome. 255 is a big. How tall are you? You about 6'2"?
I'm 6.
How
6
tall?
feet tall.
6 feet.
Yeah, I was pretty thick at 255. So.
I mean, I remember I was like a chubby, soft 240 about 12 to 14 weeks ago, and I felt huge. So I can imagine what 255 felt like.
So it felt fun. It was mildly uncomfortable. I didn't have great cardiovascular fitness at that point.
Yeah, nobody ever really does that big, except for some
That's
pro
right.
NFL players. But
that's right. But nobody's going to say anything to you about it. Nobody's going to criticize you because you're that big. So
that's awesome. Hey, I'm going to turn the video. It's freezing up a little bit on my end. I'm just going to turn the video off, and we'll just go to audio. So we'll just keep going. Hang on one second. You can turn yours off too, Geoff, if you don't mind. Just because it's like bugging out, and it's not a big deal. We got a little bit of video.
There you go. How's that?
Cool, perfect. All right. Sorry about that, guys. A little technical glitch there. We're just gonna keep it rolling. No need to redo anything. But so back on so you were 250, and cardio wasn't that good. So what transitioned that into kettlebells? What got you going into? How did you first get turned on to kettlebells?
Oh, wow, that's a side story in and of itself. So, I was training for some powerlifting when I was in college, and then I got bitten by the Olympic lifting bug. So, on the tail end of college, I started doing Olympic lifting, and so that was probably about 5 years before I got turned on to the kettlebell. So I was actually sitting in the strength room at Rutgers, waiting between teams to train them, and I saw an ad for kettlebells in Iron Mind magazine, and it was that little kettle stack thing. I thought, man, this would be great for these athletes, especially my wrestlers, because the Olympic lifts they're pretty technical, and if you don't have shoulder, wrist, or elbow flexibility, you're going to get jacked up pretty bad. And I thought, wow, man, these kettlebells, this would be great for getting these guys in shape. Mm-hmm. So we didn't have any money, so we didn't get any. So, so it was just one of those back of the mind things. And then, I'd been following Pavel in muscle media for a couple of years, and then, I saw that he came out with the kettlebells probably about 2001. So I basically got his book, and I grabbed a pair, and I used them for a long time with my clients before I ever got certified as an instructor. And basically the appeal of them was you get to, how do I put this? You get all the benefits of Olympic lifting and then some without all the technical, mastery requirements and without any specialized coaching. So, I mean, I think Pavel put it best. He says it's Olympic lifting for the everyday average person, So
yeah, they definitely are a lot easier to learn, and that's one of the things I like about kettlebells too. Is they don't take a genius to figure out how to do like a swing. I mean, I know people people get very technical with the swings, as in the arcade scene and stuff. But even, I mean, it's kind of, I mean, for what I've experienced, just grabbing kettlebell and starting to swing it and figuring it out as I go. You're not going to get really hurt trying to figure out the proper way to do a swing. Whereas like people start just jumping in doing snaps.
Hey buddy, I'm losing you.
Oh, are we? All right, you still there?
Oh, man. Yeah, I lost you there for a second. I don't know what's going on.
Oh, I don't know either. Skype's being technical. It's being a pain in the butt.
Yeah, no biggie.
All right,
we'll just keep rolling, man.
Yeah.
So you're saying, swing. It's easy to jump into swings.
Yeah, I mean, it's like that's one thing I liked about kettlebells was it's easy to jump in and not get too worried about form and function and get hurt. Like I say, I mean, there are proper ways to do everything with with certain lifts, but I mean, you can kind of muscle your way through a kettlebell clean and press and a snatch and get a really good workout.
Yeah.
So
yeah, absolutely.
That was one of the things that turned me on to them. That I liked that. But what was that? How big did you start out? What do you recommend people start out with if they're just getting into kettlebells? Like what sizes do you recommend people go for? Like just say your average male.
Average male start real light, like 35, like 35-pound kettlebell. I mean, so when I first started with them, this was over 10 years ago. I took them out in the front yard, right? At that time, I was still training to compete for Olympic lifting, and I thought, wow, a 70-pound kettlebell. I mean, that's nothing, man. I clean and jerk this and snatch that, and this is a piece of cake. So I went out and did some swings in the front yard. I did 20 swings, and I thought, oh, that's a piece of cake. And literally about 2 seconds later, I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. It just took my wind right out of me. So they're, they look innocent, but they'll kill you if you start out with the wrong weight. So, I just say start light, and then from there, most guys can handle a 53 once they get the technique down with the 35. So, and you can get a lot of work done just with a 53-pound kettlebell. And sure, you can move up heavier, to 70s and the 88s.
Yeah. So. I mean, I do a lot of finishers with kettlebells at the end of my workouts, and I like the 53, and I mean, just for pure cardio, I like the 35. Like it. I mean, just if you're doing a little higher rep stuff for like just the cardio aspect of it, thing works good.
Yeah.
In funny story, guys, listen to this, how we got, me and Geoff actually met. We both read each other's emails, and Geoff had actually commented, I think it was randomly just on one of my emails, so I was talking about cardio, how I was just getting into slow cardio, and he started telling me about this crazy Olympic lifting fat loss program that he had tried and just got all kinds of results with for himself and a lot of people. So tell me a little bit about that, Geoff. Let's talk more on like cardio and aspect. I mean, I've been a big advocate these days of slow cardio, but I'm actually kind of turning not against slow cardio, but I'm realizing that I need to integrate both slow cardio and like finisher type interval stuff at the end of my workouts now to really get me like the best I can figure. I've never like potted or anything like that, but I'm thinking I'm around 15% body fat around somewhere in that range. So I think for me the difference is going to be like I have to really get crazy with some intervals here and the slow cardio. So what's your takes on all the different types of cardios and things like that?
Well, it's interesting because you and I have been talking about the slow cardio thing and how you've seen such great results from doing it in the past couple weeks or so. And the slow cardio is good for, in my opinion, is really good for people who live very, very stressful lifestyles, because training is really all about adaptation to stress. That's really what it's about. So whether you're trying to put on muscle or lose fat or bench 405, it's all about adaptation to stress. Now, if you got a bunch of stress in the rest of your life, like your mortgage payments are overdue, or your boss sucks, or you're constantly fighting with your wife, or your kids are in trouble at school, whatever, those are stressors that are going to impact your body's response to exercise. So if you're already stressed out and then you decide to go do some hardcore intervals, 3-4 times a week, that may not be the best for you. That may push you over the edge, and you can actually get fatter from doing that. So for guys like that, the long, slow stuff is really, really good, because it's gentle on your body. And, let's face it, bodybuilders use long, slow cardio. These guys are really, really muscular, and they use long, slow cardio. So we know that it works, and science that it works too. But science also tells us that interval training works. And for me personally, I am a big fan of getting the biggest bang for your buck. And that's basically how the Olympic lifting fat loss program, the Olympic rapid fat loss program, came about. I developed it for myself training for the nationals. I had a national qualifying meet coming up, and I needed to drop probably 3 weeks without any of it being muscle. So I went to see a nutritionist, and he hooked me up on the nutrition end of it. And he asked me if I was going to do cardio. I said, absolutely not. I'm a power athlete. I can't afford to waste my time doing cardio. Mm-hmm. And, I can't convert those powerful 2B muscle fibers into 2As or 1s, fast twitch into slow twitch. I'll get slow and weak. Mm-hmm. So, he shook his head and he said, all right, well, I'm no promises. So, long story short, I went from about 10% body fat, 3.3% body fat, literally overnight, doing this.
That's really lean. It's amazing. When you showed me like the pictures and that's just like incredible. Like, because I think of the difference, like, and now it's like, pretty much the first time in my life where I've like really seen like muscles kind of popping out. Like, and I've always been a bigger guy. I've lifted, I've done nothing but strength training and heavy lifting for probably the last 7 or 8 years, and it's just, and I'm glad that I did that, because now that I'm like really working on getting lean, it's just like the difference from like 25 to like 20% body fat for me was huge, and then from like 20 now to 15 has just been massive. And I know it's like just the mentality of getting lower, and just from 10 to 3, you got to be seeing, you probably had veins coming out of your obliques like that.
I actually did. Yeah, I had veins in my stomach, and I had veins in my legs, I had veins in my arms, I had veins everywhere.
That's awesome.
I had striations all over the place. It was crazy. And but it was because I was lifting. I was doing heavy Olympic lifts. I had structured the program in such a way to allow for maximum recovery. And basically I had stumbled on some principles that I didn't know existed at the time. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that and the right diet. I was training 6 days a week. I didn't get overtrained. Yeah, it was great. It was absolutely great. It was kind of freaky. My girlfriend at the time was pretty freaked out about all the veins.
That's so cool, though. What up? So for people listening to this, you just heard two totally different ends. Like, do Olympic lifting for fat loss, and then do slow cardio, and they both work. So, what's your take for the average person? I know. Like, I personally think you're looking over your Olympic thing. Your Olympic program is awesome. It's just for most. What do you think? Like, how? I personally wouldn't recommend anybody start there. I think that's something. Like, I think that personally for me seems like to get to, like, if you're already like.
I'm sorry, you're breaking up. I missed the question.
Oh, all right, sorry, guys. We're dealing with technical difficulties today, but oh well, they happen. No, I was saying just the. If the average person was trying to kind of, I say average, just like the healthy guy who works out a lot, maybe sits around 18 to, or so body fat, is like was your program really intense? Would it be too intense for like a normal person? I guess is kind of the question I was going with. I kind of lost my train of thought there.
Man,
Am I cutting out a lot?
yeah, man, I missed all of that. Let me, when I got all my bars here, hold on one. This is really annoying.
It happens.
What I heard was how do you decide? Let me tell you what I think I heard, which was, is this for everybody? Is this for your average person? How do you reconcile Olympic lifting for fat loss and slow cardio? Is that about right?
Yeah, I had a little more in depth than that, but that's pretty much the gist of it. You got it.
Okay, so this program it's not an all the time program. I believe in what are called. Let me just back this up. I think a lot of us get stuck on doing the same thing over and over and over again. But what science has shown us, some of the Russians, there's a Russian professor, Russian sports scientist named Vorobiev, Arkady Vorobiev, that my weightlifting coach taught me about probably about 10 plus years ago, 15 years ago. And he said that the best gains in strength and pretty much anything is what I found. The best gains are made by sharp, seemingly random contrasts in loading, right? So heavy one day, light the next. Heavy one day, light the next. Heavy one day, light the next. Most of us get stuck on like medium. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so that contrast is you can do that for any goal, whether it's strength training, power, fat loss, whatever. And the thing though is the more you do it and the more frequently you do it, the more intense the training becomes. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yeah, exactly. Because the loading's getting heavier, obviously.
Yeah, and so you can't do it. You can't do it all the time. And so this particular program, Olympic Rapid Fat Loss Program, is actually what I call a shock cycle. It's not something you would do for 16 weeks or 12 weeks or anything. It's a real quick 4-week shock cycle. Mm-hmm. So that in and of itself becomes that contrast to the rest of your training. So if you're doing like long, slow cardio, somebody's doing long, slow cardio for fat loss, mm-hmm. now might be like a perfect time to do something borderline I don't want to say crazy because it sounds unscientific. But you look at the program and you go, this is a lot of work. And you're like, yes, this is a lot of work, but it's designed to do one thing. It's designed to shock your body into dropping as much body fat as possible in the shortest amount of time possible. Mm-hmm. So, are we doing tracking so far? Sorry, I got some background noise.
No, we're good. We're good. I got all that, man. That was. I think it's just on my end when I talk to you because I'm hearing everything coming through perfectly. So, yeah, that's all. Like that's cool. I mean, I'm big on like I love challenge, and that's one of the things I thought was so cool about your program was just that you got to get out of it's like getting out of your comfort zone. Everybody's got to you got to come in like. I mean, and I'll be honest, like the long slow cardio, man, it's boring as hell to me now. Like, I mean, I still do it because I know it's effective and I know it's still working for me, but it's like, it is boring. So like things like this, I mean, I love cool stuff, like just buckle down for like 4 to 6 weeks and just kill yourself kind of in retrospect, not literally for those people listening, but just, crush your face, work out hard for 4 weeks and then just kind of sit and watch the results happen because you just put in 4 weeks of just intense work. And right. I mean, I think people relate to that more too because it is. I mean, it's a mentality like it's like a transformation mentality. I guess it is because it's like people do want quick results, but it's like this type of program would be awesome for somebody who's already kind of put in the time, like and then it already gets to like say 12% body fat or so, and then does this and then just gets to like shredded status, like that. To me, that thing is just awesome. I mean, what do you recommend, like somebody maybe, I mean, that's kind of like just starting out to go this intense, or is this something more for the advanced, guy that's been doing training for a little while?
Yeah, this is definitely not for a beginner. Definitely not. I mean, you should not start your quest for fat loss here. You should get a build up phase before you go into this.
What do you, in leading up to that, what do you recommend people do just to even just to get the build up to your program? Like, I mean, they could be following, whatever they are, but just to really be able to get the most out of your Olympic program, what do you recommend people do?
Well, in the Olympic program, there's a lot of variations of the Olympic lifts. So there's a lot of pulling in there. There's a lot of squatting. There's a lot of pressing. So you're going to want to have a basic familiarity with those moves. Right, I can't believe I just said moves. I have to shoot myself. That's like the first time I've ever said moves. Those exercises.
No worries, man. No judgment-free zone, man. This isn't a Planet Fitness.
That's right. What move does this work? Anyway, yeah. So you're going to have some familiarity with squats and some overhead presses, and you should be able to deadlift. If you can't deadlift, you're going to have a hard time with a pull. So you're going to want to have that kind of background. And if you're scared to do those exercises, or you don't want to do those exercises, then you're just missing out big time on the fat loss bandwagon, because those exercises cost a ton of energy to perform. And if you're in some form of calorie restricted state, then you're going to be burning a ton of calories. And that's the beauty of these types of programs when you compare them to something like long, slow cardio, is they just burn so many calories, in one shot, and then your metabolic rate is up, right? And you get that afterburn effect that everybody talks about. So, I mean, you're just literally stacking, calorie burn on calorie burn on calorie burn for 4 weeks, basically. So
yeah, exactly. And that, I mean, just to say it, kind of reiterate what you said. If you're afraid of the deadlifts and the squats and the bench press type lifts, and I personally hope you don't watch any of my stuff, because I don't even want you watching my stuff if you don't like that stuff, because it just there's other people for you to follow besides us.
Yeah,
those things.
Yeah.
I mean, I love it, and people don't understand. Especially I can go back even with strongman training, we would do 20 rep sets of we would just do we do axle deadlifts and it wasn't necessary per se cardio, but if you do 405 pounds, one rep every 15 seconds or every 20 seconds for 5 minutes, I mean, we would just do these crazy sets, and by the end you're you're laying on the ground and you're out of breath, when we do in the strongman competitions, I would do max rep deadlifts. It's not only is it taxing strength wise, you're winded, especially if you go hard at it. So it's the Olympic lifts is even multiplies that to new heights, just with the fact that it's even more of a full body movement.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what a lot of people just don't realize is how much energy compound exercises take. And like you just said, you take you're burning energy doing something like high rep deadlifts. Now take that weight and start putting it over your head. That's something else. That's something else altogether. That compounds, or take that weight and move it at a faster pace, or pull it to your chest or something like that instead of your hips. Yeah, I mean, it's to a whole nother level. The energy expenditure is massive. So, I mean, when you're doing this workout, this training program, you'll know it, because you'll be sucking wind. You'll be covered in sweat.
Yeah, exactly. That makes me think of that. I'm not a huge advocate of CrossFit, but they are sticklers for using the Olympic lifts for fat loss and strength endurance purposes. And anybody that's ever done the squat clean and press, or the thruster, can just attest for the what these type of lifts do for fat loss and winding, energy expenditure purposes, is just amazing.
Yeah, but what? Let's not compare this program to CrossFit.
No, yeah, I was just more for they use a lot of they use similar lifts, but I personally don't like CrossFit. I think it's you should have some more planning in your training, but that's a whole other interview argument there.
Yeah, and we're not going to be doing sets of 30 on the cleans or anything ridiculous like that.
Yeah, so, you stick mainly in the program. You stick to it's 2 to 3 reps, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, and that's going to shock a lot of people because traditionally for fat loss, I mean, we've been conditioned to think that higher rep sets is where the fat loss occurs.
Yeah, and that's even for me, I get kind of twisted up on that when I do, just strictly lifting heavy. It's just like feels like, oh, I'm not doing enough, but then it's like you are.
Yeah, absolutely. What people don't realize is those low rep sets use the big muscle fibers in your muscles, and those are the ones. Those are the type 2B muscle fibers. Those are the ones that use the most energy. So you get those from the way to use those is to either lift heavy or lift explosively. That's the way to use those. So, and if you're not using enough weight, those muscle fibers never get stimulated, and you're not using as much energy as you could. And that's the premise behind the Olympic Rapid Fat Loss Program. That's why it works so well, is because you are using so much energy because you're doing both heavy lifting and explosive lifting.
Yeah, and then those two together are just, I love that shit. I love heavy lifting.
Yeah. And the combination, I mean, you just can't lift, you cannot lift heavy for high reps. It's an impossibility. You'll get one set out of it, like you said, with your strongman training. You got to work up to be able to do that
Yeah.
max deadlift reps. That's not something you're going to go do, 4 sets of, deadlifts with, a maximum weight repeatedly. Your body just will not be able to recover from that. You'll be able to do that workout once every 6 to 12 weeks, probably.
Yeah,
So,
I remember some of the workouts we did. I mean, and I've done a lot of dumb shit. I mean, I'll be honest. I've done. I mean, training with Elliot Hulse. I always mention Elliot in my interviews because it's just like people see his videos and they don't like. I mean, he really does train. He's like a genetic freak. Like, and trying to just keep up with him, I would be. I mean, I was probably in a state of overtraining for probably 2 years. I don't think my body ever really recovered from some of the dumb stuff we did. But it's like you said, you're really only good. I mean, for like one set like that, like every like 6 to 8 weeks, like and
yeah,
before you're like you can even. I mean, you can try to do it again, but it's not going to be the same. Especially
right.
like, and that's like like when I would do like a strongman competition, like we would take the entire like week to 10 days prior to that off.
Yeah,
Just and that might not even have been enough. Probably should have taken 2 to 3 weeks off before that show. But it's like, and that's how you kind of deal with like mental people that you get all, oh, I'm not doing anything, I'm gonna get fat, I'm not
right.
So it's like it's just it's a cool thing. Just I mean, for people that are familiar with just doing sets like that, is like it takes your, I would even say, life to different levels, because when you can like push through and do like a 20-25 rep set of deadlifts with 405, or like just something heavy like a max weight, where it's like, I mean, that changes you as a person. Like you just you things that you normally would be like get all worried about just don't matter anymore when you do stuff like that. That's why I love heavy lifting for that reason too.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And I mean, I think everybody needs to go through periods, whether it's a 4-week period on a program like this, or some other program where you literally just challenge yourself, and you say, hey, come hell or high water, man, I'm going to stick with this program. I don't care if it kills me. And you come out on the other side, and it makes you mentally and emotionally stronger. So it's really amazing. I mean, a case in point, I had I went through a year of my life a couple of years ago, which was just awful. And one of the only reasons I made it is because I had done so much of that training. It was like being stuck underneath the squat bar for a year, and just having to push through it is kind of how I describe it. But that year would have been a disaster had I not gone through periods like this where you just challenge yourself and you hang on no matter what. You get that extra rep no matter what. You know what I mean?
Oh, I definitely relate, and it's funny, like in interviewing, like I mean, I've been a while back I did a ton of these type of interviews, and now I'm getting back on it again. But it's funny because everybody I interview, like they're very passionate about their lifting and their training, and like they just love it, and they know that they correlate their training with their success in life. And it's like, and Elliot is a huge proponent of this as well, is like, by no means like everybody I also interview just happens to be an entrepreneur and have this pretty successful business going. I personally think that all of these are interrelated, and they make you a better person. You know, it's like being able to, like, you know, deal with like struggles in life where you're just like, oh, things are not going good, but you know, I'm in the gym, I'm pushing through. Even if you're just like maintaining, because I mean, a lot of times you go through waves where you're just training just to like kind of keep the plates spinning. You're not, you know, you're not making PRs or doing, you know, new records or anything, but you're just there because it's like it grounds you. It makes you who you are, and I love how lifting just makes it becomes a part of you.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
So, Geoff, we've been going about 30 minutes now. I don't want to take too much of your time, but first off, once again, thanks a lot for hopping on this. I appreciate it. Even though we had some technical glitches here, I think we got some amazing content. Just to kind of recap I know we've been talking about it quite a bit throughout the interview, but just kind of recap, you know, what is the Olympic Rapid Fat Loss Program, you know, in a nutshell.
Great. All right. Sure. It's a 5-week rapid fat loss program that uses it's a shock cycle, and it's based on the Olympic lifts. That's it in a nutshell. I basically turn all the fitness fat loss dogma upside down on its head in the programming in there, and like we mentioned about with the low reps, and we actually take advantage of your body's physiology, and that's basically it. I mean, that in and of itself is what makes this program work. It's the heavy weight, the explosive lifting. It's the hormonal cascade that happens as a result of that. You know, case in point. Here's a real quick case in point. I got an email from a customer of mine, excuse me, who is doing the program, but not as a fat loss program. He's just doing it, and he's eating. He's eating normal food, and he lost an inch off his waist in 3 weeks.
Nice.
And he's not even doing it for fat loss. So that's just how powerful that is. You know, and all his lifts, his strength is going up. And that's the other beautiful thing too, is I actually believe you should train for strength when you're training for fat loss. You should always train for strength, no matter what. No matter what set. Excuse me. No matter what cycle you're going through. And so that's the beautiful thing about this program, is you don't have to sacrifice your strength or your muscle mass in order to lose fat. What will happen on this program is you'll get stronger, you'll grow a little bit of muscle actually, and you'll strip body fat off. So, and again, we do that by lifting heavy, lifting explosively. And the one thing I didn't mention is the sneaky tactic is you learn how to manage fatigue in this program. That's one of the key elements. So,
yeah, you go in that and reading through. You go in that through a lot of detail, and I don't want to. I mean, that's cause for a whole other interview just about recovery. But you also address that the aspect that, you know, basically if you don't do the recovery with this program, it's probably gonna kill you. It's probably gonna make you really sore, and I like that, because most people don't even touch on that stuff in their products.
Yeah, absolutely. That is the missing component. That is another missing component in all the fat loss programs, is recovery. And I've seen some pretty brutal looking fat loss programs. I wonder if they've actually ever been done by the person who's written the program.
In my experience, probably not.
Yeah.
It's probably technically sound and a very good program, but, you know.
Yeah, I mean, if you can recover from it, God bless you. But nobody ever talks about the recovery. So,
yeah, it's not sexy.
Sorry, go ahead.
I said it's not the sexy topic. It's not, right, you know, the cool stuff. But and people that have been in the lifting game for a while know how important. I mean, like yesterday, I slept in really late because I had done 3 days in a row. You know, 3 days of cardio, 2 days of finishers, and 3 bodybuilding workouts, and I slept a lot. Sometimes you just need it.
Yeah, I bet.
So,
you know, it's recovery, and it's like we were talking about at the beginning. You know, stress. It's all about stress. How much stress can your body withstand in order to get the changes that you want? And if you're not plugging in recovery in your fat loss program, you're missing some major results, because the recovery helps you deal with the stress. And the stress is too much stress gives you a negative adaptation. You want just the right amount of stress to get the positive adaptation, and that is, seeing your six-pack in the mirror.
Exactly. Well, good stuff, man. I'm glad we're able to get you on here today and talk about this, because personally, guys, I think the program is awesome. If you haven't tell, I mean, I'm a big proponent of heavy lifting, and if you combine heavy lifting and fat loss, I think it's a win-win for anybody, looking to just take their lifting to the next level. And you've probably seen, if you're watching this interview on my YouTube channel, you have seen links in the video right by now that are linking to Geoff's product. If you want to pick it up, that'd be awesome. I'm sure Geoff would appreciate it. I definitely would. It's a killer program. A definitely good way to shock the system. What's the price of it right now, Geoff?
$19.95.
Yeah, you can't beat it for $19.95 either. That's a 20 spot. I mean, come on, you spend that at Starbucks.
Yeah, that's less than a week's worth of coffee at Starbucks, I think.
But once again, Geoff, thanks. One question I like to ask before I just conclude the interview: what's the hardest workout you've ever done? What's the one workout that sticks out in your head as like, holy shit, I was retarded for doing that? I love to hear these people's stories about that.
Wow. One workout that was the hardest I've ever done. Okay, so there are several workouts that were the hardest I've ever done. Probably the hardest I ever did would have to be, it was the final workout of a squat cycle that my coach put me on that put 90 pounds on my squat in 6 weeks. So the workout went like this. It was warm up with leg extensions, all right, and then worked up to a top set to failure with leg extensions. Then did the same thing with leg curls. Then we went over to the leg press, and we did rest pause on the leg press with about 1,000 pounds. And this was an old school leg press, man. It wasn't one of those 45-degree ones. It was more like a 60-degree. So the weight is almost on top of you. So that was pretty brutal. So we did a rest pause there with about 1,000 pounds, 4 sets with 10 seconds of rest between them. Mm-hmm. And then I went over and I did a set of squats, 1 set to failure, where I did 415 for 13 reps.
Wow.
And I got all that done in about 30 minutes, I want to say. That was probably about the hardest workout, or the craziest workout I've ever done.
That's awesome. That sounds brutal.
Yeah. Now, then there was a program that he put me on, which was, I was squatting, I think, 11 times a week. And, I mean, the first days 1, 3, and 5 were opened up with squats. Then there were snatches, and then there was bench press, and then there were cleans, and then there were squats. Wow. And that was done 3 days a week. And then 2 days a week I did overhead squats, jerks, and then heavy snatch pulls. So that was the craziest program I've ever been on.
Sounds intense.
Craziest program.
Good stuff, man. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this interview with Geoff. If you did, check out his product. Definitely subscribe to my YouTube channel, and so you always get my awesome interviews. What's your main site, Geoff? So they want to follow up on you. I know you got a good blog that you write in quite a bit, and
it's chasingstrength.com.
Awesome, and they can get on your email list there too, right?
They can dig around and get one. They can get on the email list there. They should be able to.
If you guys are on the email list, I love reading Geoff's emails. He's definitely refreshing as far as he always writes really unique emails. I like reading his stuff.
Actually, you know what, Ryan? That's not true. I'm such a lazy, for lack of a better word, marketer. I don't think I've got an opt-in on the chasing strength. So just go to my kettlebell site, which is kettlebellsecrets.com, and there's a special report opt-in box there that you can slide your name in there, email address, so get on the list.
Cool. Or they can buy his product and get on there as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
But thanks again, Geoff. Hang on the line when I mute this call. But I just want to say thanks again for hopping on, man. It was good to have you.
I appreciate it, man. It was a blast. Thank you.
No problem. Talk to you guys later.